So good morning to all. Welcome to class 12th economics. Today we have to do a revision of chapter government budget and the economy. Yesterday we did the revision of the chapter banking, where we covered that what are the main functions of a central bank, and today we are going to revise the chapter banking, government budget and the economy. In government budget, if I tell you, as I told you already, that this chapter government budget comes for 6 marks in final exams, and of course 6 marks is no doubt ऐसा नहीं है कि बहुत कम marks है, as it has only few questions in the syllabus and 6 marks it's coming in board exam, so of course it has a good weightage as well. This government budget, mainly you have to do only 3-4 questions in the chapter, only and only 3-4 questions in the chapter. I'm talking about 3-4 long answer questions. Like very first question, if I talk about, what you have to do is basically what are the objectives of government budget, which means the meaning and the objectives of government budget. Secondly, you have to do what are the budget components. So what are the components of budget means we have to talk about the budget receipts and we have to talk about the budget expenditures. Thirdly, we have to do that what are the deficits involved in the budget. Tino deficits, that is revenue deficit, fiscal deficit and primary deficit. And we don't have to do their limitations or implications. We have to do just their meaning and learn the formula. Because 2-3 years before there was some implications although in the syllabus for these topics, that what is revenue deficit, what are the limitations of revenue deficit, same was with the fiscal and primary. But we have to just now do their meaning, only and only meaning with the formula only, that how we compute that, because if any numerical comes into exam from this, so we can easily compute that, right? So ultimately 3 to 4 long answer questions are there which you have to just learn for 6 marks. I think बहुत ही easy concept है ये, and would definitely you would be practicing. I hope you have all practiced for the exam. So now I'm taking first, that is what is the meaning of government budget. See, when I need to explain that what is the meaning of government budget, I will simply explain that government budget is an annual financial statement. Annual financial statement. Annual financial statement means that it is made for 1 year and it is related to the finance. That's why it is known as it is annual financial statement, which records, वो क्या record करता है, which records the item wise, estimated revenues or estimated expenditures during a fiscal year. Fiscal year means financial year, which starts from 1st April and ends on the next 31st March. And when we have to explain what is government budget, we simply explain it that it is a annual financial statement which records the proper estimation of budget expenditures and budget receipts during a financial year. All right. If I tell that what are the major components of government budget, I'll simply say that the major components are like budget receipts and budget expenditures. Budget receipts means from where government can raise the money, raise the funds, and budget expenditures means where government is going to spend the money, right? So budget is presented in the parliament. As I told you, it is presented in the parliament. It is passed by the parliament and presented by the finance minister of our country, right? And afterwards, after that, ultimately when it get passed in the parliament, it becomes applicable from the 1st April, right? So it is presented in the month of February, but March month timing is given to all public to make some necessary arrangements, and from 1st April it becomes applicable in the whole country for 1 year. That is fiscal year, which starts from 1st April and ends on the next year 31st March. So that was just about the meaning of government budget. The next very question arises, what are the objectives of government budget? Now objectives of government budget means why do we make government budget or why do government makes budget? क्या problem है, क्या ऐसे points हैं that government makes the government budget? Why this is necessary to make a government budget? See, The very first objective of government budget, as we have discussed, reallocation of resources. Reallocation of resources means that government through the budget policy only, reallocates it resources, that what how many resources government has to incur for the public welfare, and how many resources government has to incur for the profit maximization, right? So all these things are being done by the government in the budget only, which means if I simply say that for hazardous commodities, there are many hazardous commodities in our economy which are being produced. For example, many hazardous medicines or drugs are also been produced. Same way, hazardous commodities like liquor is produced, tobacco is produced, like cigarettes are produced. So many hazardous commodities are there available in an economy which are being produced by the government, and government tries to basically reallocate the resources in such a way that government increases the price of these resources, these commodities. Government increases the प्राइस ऑफ दीज कमोडिटीज, these hazardous nature commodities. इससे दो benefit होंगे. One benefit, that government is going to definitely do the economic objective profit maximization, that government revenue will definitely increase. And second objective will also be there, that government is going to do a social welfare, because increasing its price means many people would not be buying this commodity anymore, or relatively they would be buying less commodity as they were buying earlier. So both of the objectives can be compiled with from one objective, that is reallocation of resources. Now take the latest example of wine. The wine prices in all over India have been increased, right? Government said that we are not generating revenue from any source, so we have increased, we have opened the wine shops across India, and we have started earning from wine shop. They have started earning from wine shop. First, on the very first day, the central government almost earned around 1000 crores from the wine sale, right? Why? This is ultimately the allocation of resources, where the government is generating the revenue from a source which is fulfilling, no doubt, two major things. कौन सी? First major thing, it is fulfilling the revenue objective, that government is generating the profit. And second, also it is fulfilling the objective of social welfare, right? Because somewhere increasing the price on these hazardous commodities would not so many people would be buying less as of, because it has increased, government has increased its price. So somewhere we can simply say that the first objective of government is to reallocation of resource. The second objective, if we talk about, is the economic equality, or equality means redistribution of income or wealth, or we can say reducing the inequalities of income and wealth. Government tries to reduce the inequalities of income and wealth between rich and poor, because government knows that there is a huge gap between rich and poor in our economy. Then government must take some necessary steps which will help in reducing the inequalities of income and wealth in our economy, ultimately reducing in the gap between the rich and poor in our economy, right? How government does this? Through the budget, government possesses various new taxes on the rich people. Government introduces various new taxes on the rich people, or even increases the taxes on the rich people, so that they should pay more tax to the government. And taking more tax from the government, from the rich people, government is utilizing that whole amount on this as a subsidies to the poor people, so that the standard of living can be maintained for the rich and poor, and ultimately try to reduce the gap between the rich and poor in the economy, right? The third objective comes out to be regional inequality. Regional inequality means government tries to reduce the gap of urban and rural areas also, because we have a lot of rural areas which are not at all developed in our economy. Then definitely government needs to take some necessary steps, so that the rural areas can actually be treated well, or some opportunities of development can also be generated in the rural areas. So through that budget only, government possesses such information, that where government is going to give the developmental strategies for the rural area, so that the gap of the rural and urban areas can be dropped down. As you have seen, I think you have seen the budget presented by the Nirmala Sitaraman these days. She has announced the package of 20 lakh crores. Have you ever noticed that the government is spending almost 70% of its amount of the package for COVID-19 on the rural areas only? Because mostly the rural people are affected, no doubt, because they have, they were having nothing in the urban areas. People who were just migrated from rural to urban, they were not having good money with themselves in the urban area. They were not having now food also. So because ultimately the work which they were doing in the urban area have been stopped, so people are now again migrating, or they're just going back to their nation, to their native, right, जहां से वो आए थे. So ultimately government ने क्या किया, government has started the 20 lakh crores package जो government has announced. Government is using that most of the amount on the rural area, so that the difference between the rural and urban can be क्लियर, उसको ठीक किया जा सके, उसको कम किया जा सके. बिकॉज इफ अर्बन एरियाज में सेटलमेंट्स हो जाएंगी तो रूरल एरियाज तो बहुत लैग बिहाइंड हो जाएगा और भी ज्यादा. बिकॉज आपको पता, ऑलरेडी मैंने आईडी वगैरह में पढ़ाया आपको, दैट मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल आर लिविंग इन द रूरल एरियाज स्टिल इन इंडिया. मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल are living in the rural areas in India. So definitely there was needed a step to be taken for the rural people, rural India, right? So regional equality means simply setting up the production units in backward region, right? उसके अलावा creating job employment opportunities in the rural areas, so that there can be easily the difference of the rural and urban can be reduced. The fourth objective that you can see is economic stability or price stability. You know, there are various situations like inflationary or deflationary pressures going on in our economy. Tell me which of the situation is going on now in the economy, whether it is inflation or deflation. Kindly write in the chat box and tell me that which of the period is going on in our economy now these days, whether it is inflation going on or deflation going on. Just write in the chat box, please. Hmm. Deflationary, yes, very good. Deflationary period is going on. Why deflation? Because ultimately deflation इसलिए just because, you know, people have less money to spend, and when people have less money to spend, which means they are not spending more and more amount, they even have less money, so they are spending less. So government just wants to give more and more money into the market, so that the flow of money can be increased. So economic stability or price stability simply means that that there should be a proper balanced situation, no inflation or deflation should be there, right? So inflation में क्या होता है, in inflation the prices of the commodities rises because people have more money with themselves, they spend more money, they demand more, ultimately the price rises. But deflation जो अभी चल रहा है, people have less money with themselves, कमाइयां ही नहीं है उनकी, काम धंधे खत्म हो गए हैं, बंद हो गए हैं, और पता नहीं कब ठीक होंगे. बिजनेस क्लास पे तो सबसे ज्यादा इसका इफेक्ट पड़ा ना, सबसे ज्यादा तो उसका इफेक्ट इकोनॉमिकली बिजनेस पे पड़ा. क्यों? क्योंकि बिजनेस जो है अभी बंद हो चुका है, 2 महीने तो बिल्कुल ठप रहा, बिजनेस बिल्कुल बंद रहा. उसके बाद में अगर हम बात करें तो वो बिजनेस कब दोबारा से स्टार्टअप होगा, कितना टाइम लगेगा, कस्टमर्स कब मार्केट में आने वाले हैं. ऑफ कोर्स अगर अभी की अगर हम बात करते हैं, हम बात करते हैं कपड़ा व्यापारी की, हम लोग वर्क उसी बिजनेस की बात करते हैं जो जो बेसिकली डील करता है कपड़ों के अंदर. अब आपको लगता है कि आप स्पेशली जाके कपड़े खरीदने वाले हो अगले 6 महीने तक? आई डोंट थिंक सो कि कोई भी जाकर के कपड़े खरीदने वाला 6 महीने तक, बिकॉज उसको यही लगेगा कि भाई अभी तो पता ही नहीं कि कितना क्या क्या और हालात खराब होने हैं मेडिकली और हेल्थ वाइज, तो क्या जाके कोई कपड़े खरीदने वाला है मार्केट में जाके. तो बहुत सारे बिजनेसेस पे इस पे फर्क पड़ेगा, जिससे इन्फ्लेशन और डिफ्लेशन जैसी सिचुएशन इकोनॉमी को झेलनी पड़ती है. सो गवर्नमेंट ट्राइज टू स्टेबलाइज द इकोनॉमी ऑल्सो थ्रू द बजट ओनली. That like in case of deflation, जैसे अभी deflation period था, तो government has to give more money into the market ना, तभी तो government ने पैकेज दिया 20 लाख करोड़ का, दिया ना. हाँ नमन, बिल्कुल ठीक कह रहे हो आप. सो अल्टीमेटली इतना ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम जो हो रही है, तो इन डिफ्लेशन का पीरियड है, तो डेफिनेटली जब डिफ्लेशन है तो गवर्नमेंट को अल्टीमेटली जो डिफ्लेशन को कंट्रोल करना पड़ेगा. अब डिफ्लेशन को कंट्रोल करने के लिए गवर्नमेंट ने क्या किया, लोगों को मनी सप्लाई ज्यादा प्रोवाइड करनी चाहिए, है ना, ताकि वो लोग के पास फ्लो ऑफ मनी बढ़े. जिसके लिए गवर्नमेंट ने क्या किया, 20 लाख करोड़ का पैकेज इंट्रोड्यूस किया, यानी कि गवर्नमेंट हैज इंक्रीज इट्स स्पेंडिंग. गवर्नमेंट हैज इंक्रीज्ड इट्स स्पेंडिंग. गवर्नमेंट ने अपना खर्च शुरू किया, अपनी तिजोरी में से पैसा निकाला 20 लाख करोड़ और अपने ही देश में लगा दिया. एंड आई रिक्वेस्ट यू, काइंडली बाय ओनली एंड ओनली लोकल प्रोडक्ट्स, डू नॉट गो फॉर ब्रांड्स विच आर नॉट देसी. काइंडली अपने ही सिर्फ अपने अपने इंडिया के जो बनाए हुए प्रोडक्ट्स हैं उनको परचेज करना है. बाहर से बनाए हुए एक भी प्रोडक्ट को बाय नहीं करना है एट ऑल. ठीक है. सिर्फ और अपने अपने इंडिया के जो प्रोडक्ट्स हैं जो मेड इन इंडिया है बस उनको लो, ताकि आगे आने वाले 4-5 साल के अंदर हमारी इकोनॉमी ठीक हो सके, क्योंकि अगर ये सब चीजें नहीं हुई तो हम लोग फिर किसी देश के गुलाम बनने वाले हैं जल्दी. So these were the objectives of government budget. I hope it is clear to everybody that what are the objectives of government budget. Now just एक बार जरा इसका go through करवा लूं आपसे, then I'll move to the other topic. Okay, तौशित ठाकुर जी, जरा start करो थोड़ा सा explanation of these objectives which we have studied now. तौशित जी,
Hello, sir.
हाँ जी, start करो थोड़ा.
Okay, sir. Objective of government budget. So the first point is reallocation of resources. So the government reallocate resources in different sectors like tax concessions on or subsidies in especially in the rural sector or the poor sector in our economy, and by imposing heavy tax on the rich sector and giving tax concessions and subsidies to the lower section of the society of the
Okay.
economy. Second one is directly producing goods and services. Many non-profit economic activities are also performed or undertaken by the government, like water supply, sanitation, and national defense. So they are being performed by the government only. Second is reducing inequality in income and wealth by giving subsidies to the lower section. Government tries to reduce the gap between the rich and the poor by giving many schemes like LPG schemes by PM Ujjwala Yojana and many more. Third is economic stability. Uh, economic
Like
stability
you
means
must have heard, all of you must have heard, abhi 2-3 दिन पहले when Sitaraman was coming live, she said that under the Ujjwala scheme we have almost distributed 6 crores cylinders to people. 6 crores gas cylinders, LPG cylinders to people under this Ujjwala Yojana only. So that Ujjwala Yojana which they have introduced and which they are coping about, that is all in the budget only. That they have all written in the budget only, that what they are going to do, how they are going to do, how they are going to provide this thing to people, you know, of India, of our economy. Continue, Toshit.
the third point is economic stability. So the government exercise control over the fluctuation of money by in two ways, in inflation and deflation. When there is an inflation in the economy, the government takes back the money from the people, and in the case of deflation, they give money in the hands of people so that they can buy more goods and so they can buy more goods and have a good impact on the economy.
Okay.
Fourth is management of public enterprise. There are large number of public sectors which are established for the welfare of the public. So
For example,
they
if I talk about the railway, if I talk about the BHEL, SAIL, there are many companies, or there are many organizations which are clearly which belongs to the government only, right? So government is ultimately managing all these enterprises also through the budget only, which means government through the budget only gives all those inputs, that how government is going to create that, what amount of expenditure government is going to spend on its regulations, and how much money is being generated from these enterprises, and how these enterprises would, whether it would run more in a more way, like for example there would be more branches for this enterprises, and how vast it will work. So ultimately all this work is done through the budget only, right? So moving further to the next question, that is components of budget. So if I talk about the components of budget, that is the next question, in which we can simply say that government budget is divided into two major categories. Two major components are there in government budget: budget receipts and budget expenditures. When we say budget receipts, which means what amount of revenue the government is generating through the budget, which is ultimately of two types: revenue receipts and capital receipts. And budget expenditure means what are the two types of expenditures government is creating. which is revenue expenditure and capital expenditure. So let me first explain the capital receipt, then you will understand the revenue receipt yourself. Capital receipt. Capital, I told you a big amount first, and secondly, which affect the assets and liabilities, right? Which affects the asset or liabilities. So what will be the capital receipt? Capital receipt, when I am explaining, which means capital receipt is the receipt, एक साथ बड़ा amount मिल रहा है ना, which either reduces my asset, मतलब यहाँ तो गवर्नमेंट ने एसेट बेची होगी, और it creates the liabilities, for example गवर्नमेंट ने लोन लिया होगा. So whenever we explain what is a capital receipt, we'll simply say that capital receipt refers to the receipt which either create liability or reduces assets of the government. That is known as capital receipt. And when we say that what is the revenue receipt, then we'll say that revenue receipt is that receipt which neither create liability nor reduce asset of the government. ना तो वो liability create करती है और ना ही वो asset को reduce करती है. All right. So capital receipt के examples can be, for example, borrowings. Government जब borrow करती है, borrowings from government, borrowings from bank like central bank. इसी तरह borrowings from the financial institutions, borrowing from the international monetary fund or world bank जो international institutions हैं. Same way कैपिटल रिसीट कब होगी? जब या तो कोई एसेट गई, यानी कि इधर गवर्नमेंट हैज डन द डिसइन्वेस्टमेंट, और government has just sold off any of the plant and machinery or building, land building, or any of the asset of the government. Then what will be the revenue receipt? Which neither create liability nor reduce asset, जिससे एसेट और लाइबिलिटी में कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. विच गवर्नमेंट, जो गवर्नमेंट की रेगुलर रिसीट्स है, विच इंक्लूड्स बोथ टैक्स रिसीट्स एंड नॉन टैक्स रिसीट्स. Tax receipts means which are in the form of the taxes. Tax receipts are basically those receipts which are in the form of the taxes. For example, that can be the direct tax or even the indirect tax. And when we say the non-tax receipts, the non-tax receipts are basically which are not in the form of taxes. तो non-tax कौन सा हो सकता है? जैसे कि fees and fine, penalty. Fees के अंदर we have land registration fees, license fees, passport making fees, OPD fees in hospitals, tuition fees in schools and colleges, right? So उसी के साथ साथ we have various fine and penalties also, like the law breakers. On the law breakers, the fines are imposed, right? The challans are basically imposed. So that is all fees, fine and penalty. Then we have the non-tax receipt के अंदर अगर हम बात करें आगे और क्या क्या है उसके अंदर, then we have the interest received by the government. Government is also receiving the interest. Government को interest भी receive होता है from various its investments. Same way dividend भी उस पे receive होता है. तो that is the revenue receipt. एक तो जल्दी जल्दी मिलता रहता है, regular nature का होता है, and secondly assets और liabilities पे कोई इसका effect नहीं होता. Same way profits of PSU or assets I told you, which when people have no legal hire, so government controls all its money, that is assets. Then external grants like donations वगैरह which government gets. Then repayment of no, ठीक है, यहाँ तक clear है? These are the basically the revenue receipts. So revenue receipts, how will you explain? Revenue receipts are those receipts which neither create liability nor reduces assets. And how will you explain the capital receipt? Capital receipts are those receipts which either reduces assets or creates the liabilities. Example में borrowing आ गया, disinvestment आ गया, ठीक, एसेट कम हो गई तो रिकवरी ऑफ लोन आ गया, या सेलिंग ऑफ प्लांट एंड मशीनरी, सेलिंग ऑफ लैंड एंड बिल्डिंग, जहां जहां पे भी एसेट रिड्यूस हो रही है या लायबिलिटी बढ़ रही है, दैट इज द कैपिटल रिसीट. So revenue receipt of two types, tax revenue and non-tax revenue, right? So secondly, we come across with the budget expenditure now. Budget expenditure means the expenditure which is there in the budget, right? So budget expenditure is ultimately of again two types, revenue expenditure and capital expenditure. When we have to explain what is the capital expenditure, we'll simply say that capital expenditure is that expenditure which अब बड़ा खर्चा है एक साथ, which either create asset, जो या तो asset increase कर देगा, और reduces liability, जो या तो liability को reduce कर देगा. So ultimately we can simply say that capital expenditure is that expenditure which either create asset or reduces the liability of the government. What can be the example? The example of the capital expenditure, एक साथ ज्यादा पैसा जा रहा है, कोई asset बढ़ रही है, like construction of dam, construction of a school building, right? Or construction of any road, flyover, That is all the capital expenditure. Same way और क्या हो सकता है capital expenditure, जैसे repayment of loan. Now repayment of loan is also capital expenditure, because loan जो आपने लिया हुआ था that was your liability, but once now when you are repaying that loan, which means it is now of course reducing your liability. So repayment of loan can be there. Same way, what can be the examples of revenue expenditures? जो regular nature के expenditures हैं, जिससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता liabilities और assets में. We can simply say that the revenue expenditures are like interest payment, because government maybe has taken some loan. जब लोन लिया तो borrowing है, लेकिन उसके ऊपर लोन पे जो गवर्नमेंट ने रेगुलरली इंटरेस्ट पे करना है, दैट इज द रेवेन्यू एक्सपेंडिचर, राइट. उसके अलावा सैलरीज paid to the employees, right? उसके अलावा subsidies given to the people of country, and there can be and many more such examples of revenue nature which neither create, जिससे ना तो गवर्नमेंट की कोई एसेट है, खर्चा करने से ना तो कोई गवर्नमेंट की एसेट बढ़ रही है, ना लायबिलिटी कम हो रही है, which means it's a regular nature खर्चा जो आपको करना ही करना है. I hope this is clear to all that what are the two major components of budget: budget receipts and budget expenditure. Okay. Now you have to just tell me that what is the difference between this budget, what are the major components of budget receipt and budget expenditure. So let me ask from Nishtha. Nishtha, over to you.
Yes, sir. So, two components of government budget are budget receipts and budget expenditure. There are two types of budget receipts. They are revenue receipt and capital receipt. Revenue receipts are those receipts which either reduces the assets or creates liability. For example, borrowings from any financial institution or sale of any assets. Then revenue receipts are those receipts which neither creates liability or nor reduces the assets.
Okay.
They are further divided into two types: tax receipts and non-tax receipts. Tax receipts can be direct or indirect, and an example for direct tax receipts are fees and fine, or indirect tax receipts are interest, dividend received, etc. Then budget expenditure is also divided into two types: revenue expenditure and capital expenditure. Capital expenditure are those expenditure which either creates assets or reduces liability. For example, construction of any dam or highway, or repayment of any loan. Revenue expenditure are those expenditures which neither creates an asset nor reduces the liability.
Okay. So ultimately, these were the components of the government budget, which we simply say that it has two major components: expenditures and revenues. But let me ask from some other one as well. Then I'll move. Okay, Harshita, you explain the components of budget expenditure completely, including the tax revenue, non-tax revenue, direct tax, indirect tax, and all. Over to you, Harshita.
There are two components of budget, that is budget receipts and budget expenditure. Budget receipts are expected revenue generated by government, and budget expenditures are expected expenses created by government. Budget receipts are further divided into two types: revenue receipts and capital receipts. Revenue receipts are regular in nature, and capital receipts involve big amount. Revenue receipts are those receipts which neither create liability nor reduce assets of the government. And they are further divided into two types: tax receipts and non-tax receipts. Example: fees, fines, penalties, interest received, dividend received, profit of PSU, etc. Capital receipts are those receipts which either create liability or reduce assets of the government. Example: borrowings, sale of public sector, etc. And budget expenditures are also divided into two types: revenue expenditure and capital expenditure. Revenue expenditure are those expenditure which neither create assets nor reduce liability of the government. Example: salary to employees, pension subsidies, etc. And
Okay.
capital expenditures are those expenditure which create asset or reduce liability of the government, like purchasing assets, repayment of loan by government, construction of dam, school building, roads, etc.
ठीक है. So can anybody tell me that what is the difference between the direct taxes and indirect taxes in our economy? What are the differences between direct taxes and indirect taxes in our economy? Kindly raise your hand, please. At least 2 to 3 differences you can explain me. Difference between direct taxes and indirect taxes. Otherwise, I'll ask myself. Okay, let me ask this first from Anushka Bansal. Anushka?
Yes,
Anushka,
sir.
you can speak now. Difference between direct tax and indirect tax.
Sir, direct tax is that tax whose impact is on same person, and indirect tax is that tax whose impact is on different person. Direct
Okay.
tax examples are income tax, household tax, and it cannot be shifted. Whereas indirect tax examples are goods and service tax and sale tax, and it can be shifted irrespective of income.
Okay. ठीक है, but थोड़ा सा कम explain किया है. Anybody, anyone else want to try? सक्षम, आपने try करना है? Okay, सक्षम, बोलो.
सर डायरेक्ट टैक्स होता है जो कि डायरेक्ट पर्सन पे लगता है, और इनडायरेक्ट टैक्स होता है जो कि गुड्स और सर्विस पे लग के पर्सन के पास जाता है.
Okay. Any example?
सर एग्जांपल, सर इनकम टैक्स इज एग्जांपल ऑफ डायरेक्ट टैक्स,
Okay.
एंड टैक्स ऑन गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज इज नॉट आर द एग्जांपल ऑफ इनडायरेक्ट टैक्स.
Okay. So ultimately, मैं एक बार explain कर रहा हूँ. So please listen very carefully. Whenever you have to explain that what is direct tax or indirect tax, you will simply define direct tax as the tax which is levied on one person and the burden also falls on the same person. The explanation of direct tax or the meaning or definition of direct tax: the tax which is levied on one person and the burden also falls on the same person. That is direct tax. But when we have to explain what is indirect tax, we'll simply say that indirect tax is basically that tax which is levied on one person but the burden falls on some other person. तो यहीं से हमारा second point निकल के आएगा. The burden of the tax cannot be shifted in direct tax, but the burden of the tax can be shifted, can be shifted in indirect tax, right? Third point of difference, we can write that the direct tax examples are like income tax, which is levied on the income of the person, or we have property tax, which is levied on the property of the person. We have corporate tax, which is levied on the profit of the companies, right? Which we have wealth tax, which is levied on the wealth of a person, right? Then indirect tax examples, we have GST, goods and services tax, custom duties, है ना, जो बाहर से सामान लाने में imports पे लगता है. उससे पहले बहुत सारे होते थे, जैसे कि सेल्स टैक्स, जैसे कि एक्साइज टैक्स या ड्यूटी, उसके अलावा एंटरटेनमेंट टैक्स, वैट, सर्विस टैक्स. पहले तो बहुत होता था, अभी तो जीएसटी है. The next example, the next difference in direct or indirect tax you can write is the direct taxes are progressive in nature. Progressive in nature means जितना ज्यादा आप लोग इनकम अर्न करते हो उतना ज्यादा रेट डायरेक्ट टैक्स का बढ़ता जाता है. ऐसे टैक्स को बोलते हैं हम प्रोग्रेसिव इन नेचर. बट इनडायरेक्ट टैक्सेस आर रिग्रेसिव इन नेचर. रिग्रेसिव इन नेचर मींस कि अगर आप ज्यादा सामान खरीदने वाले हो ना तो यू विल गेट ट्रेड डिस्काउंट. तो नो डाउट आपका प्राइस बर्डन ऑटोमेटिकली कम होगा. जब प्राइस बर्डन कम होगा तो टैक्स का अमाउंट भी कम होगा आपके ऊपर. सो इनडायरेक्ट टैक्स इज समहाउ रिग्रेसिव इन नेचर, but direct tax is somehow progressive in nature. All right, so I hope this topic yahan tak aaj ke liye clear hai. Revision that what is the meaning and objectives of government budget. Harshita, which point you want me to repeat, progressive or regressive? if progressive or regressive, the direct taxes are progressive in nature. As more and more income you will be earning, you have to bear more and more tax burden on your income. तो इनकम टैक्स जैसे प्रोग्रेसिव होता है ना, रेट्स होते हैं उसके, 5 लाख तक कमाया तो 10%, 5 लाख से 10 लाख के बीच इनकम कमाई तो 20% टैक्स, या 10 लाख से 20 लाख के बीच में कमाई तो 30% टैक्स. तो दैट इज प्रोग्रेसिव इन नेचर. बट व्हेन वी हैव टू एक्सप्लेन द रिग्रेसिव नेचर ऑफ टैक्स, जैसे इनडायरेक्ट टैक्स रिग्रेसिव होता है, आप ज्यादा ज्यादा सामान खरीदोगे तो यू विल गेट ट्रेड डिस्काउंट, तो प्राइस कम हो जाएगा थोड़ा डिस्काउंट के बाद, तो टैक्स रेट भी उस पर लगेगा ना जितने पे आपको बेचा गया, तो अपना टैक्स का बर्डन भी कम हो जाएगा. कम खरीदोगे, कोई डिस्काउंट नहीं मिलता, तो टैक्स भी आपको ज्यादा देना पड़ता है उसके ऊपर. तो जीएसटी जो है वो कहीं ना कहीं रिग्रेसिव इन नेचर है, जबकि डायरेक्ट टैक्सेस आर प्रोग्रेसिव इन नेचर. सो अभी यहाँ तक क्लियर है. टुमारो आई विल टेक द रिवीजन ऑफ द अदर टॉपिक left in this chapter, and that this chapter revision will be clear by tomorrow. ठीक है? So we'll meet you tomorrow at your regular class timing. Till then, please revise the topic, and I'm again and again telling you to please learn the topic. Paper is not going to much easy. ये मत सोचना that MCQ है तो MCQ will be easy. No, I have put hot question in MCQ. So definitely you have to think over it. अगर आप depth knowledge में पढ़ोगे, then only you will be able to answer all those questions. So better learn the chapter thoroughly, and ask me your doubts if you have any on WhatsApp, right? So चलो ठीक है, कल मिलते हैं फिर.